Dive. This is one in the series of programs put together by the Business Ideas Hub community group of the Covenant Nation. You're most welcome, and we hope today you have a fantastic time. What are we doing here today? We have had sessions where we discussed small scale businesses, medium scale businesses. Today we are going big time. We'll be discussing the big stage. And the theme of today's program is entrepreneurship on the big stage, buying and building a mega business. Some might want to ask, why are we talking about this at this time? I mean, where nations are shutting down because of the virus globally, where businesses are being taken over, and so on and so forth. But in that same economy, among those same industries, on the same stage, we are having people, buy and own new businesses and run them well and profitably too. So how does this happen? Is there a science to it, or is it just luck? To help us answer these questions that might be troubling people's minds today, we have someone who is most suited and qualified to answer the question. And I will read out his profile now for us to just get a hang of it and get ready to get those wisdom nuggets that have helped him achieve what he has in his own industry. So our guest today, our special guest today, is Mr. Kola Fashino. Kola currently leads the vision of Sahara Power Group, aimed at bringing energy to life by deploying diversified power sources to light up lives, businesses, and sustainable interventions in Nigeria and across Africa. Sahara Power Group's affiliates include Ikeja Electric, the largest privately owned power distribution business in sub-Saharan Africa. Egbin Power PLC, the largest thermal plant in sub-Saharan Africa with about 1,320 megawatts installed capacity, with ongoing expansion plans to increase the capacity over twofold, providing a quarter of the total generating capacity in Nigeria. And First Independent Power Limited. Kola currently chairs the board of Ikeja Electric. Kola has had a highly diversified professional background. At Sahara Group, he has overseen many initiatives, including nationwide strategic management of the supply chain of fuel to the emergency power plants of the defunct National Electric Power Authority, now Power Holding Company Nigeria Limited. He led the Majestic Oil Delegation on the acquisition of the Sierra Leone refinery, managed the crude oil contract of the group in Côte d'Ivoire, and served as the Director of Infrastructure responsible for the acquisition of strategic assets in Africa. He also served as a member of the Presidential Committee on the accelerated expansion of the electricity infrastructure in Nigeria, which culminated in the unbundling of PHCN successor companies. Kola combines his years of management and business diplomacy experience into creating and executing innovative strategies for governments across the Saharan Africa in the energy sector. Kola is a much sought-after resource person on energy-related issues, especially the power sector in Africa, and is also a frontline speaker at conferences across the globe. He is passionate about empowering young people and takes great pride in mentoring youths to seek creative ways of galvanizing their energies for sustained excellence and productivity. Mr. Adesina is a Pan-Africanist, a seasoned entrepreneur, an avowed promoter of the Pan-African dream of regional integration and trade. He holds a BSc Insurance, an MSc in Business, a Master's in International Law and Diplomacy, and is an associate of the Chartered Institute of Insurance. He's also an alumnus of the Harvard Business School Executive Education. So you would agree with me that he's most eminently qualified to lead us on this discussion today. But it was UNESCO that said that the trick to getting the right answers is not really the answers, it's in the questions. It's about asking the right questions. And to help us, ask the right questions today and go on this journey with Mr. Kola Fashino, we have a most eminently qualified individual also. Let me just read out his profile and then I will introduce him and then the discussion can, start in earnest. But I mean, just to say that we should never take our eyes off any of these gentlemen once the session starts, because you never know when the huge nuggets will drop that will make the most impact in your life. So to ask the questions today, and as our chief host and moderator of the session, we have Pastor Obinna Ukachukwu. Obinna Ukachukwu is an impact-driven business growth expert with almost 22 decades, of experience across banking, healthcare, finance, and development finance. He has served in various senior roles in his career, thus giving him valuable boardroom experience. He's currently the divisional head of Sterling Bank, covering the health and education sectors. In his role, he seeks to create solutions that enable access and the distribution of services across sectors. Obinna is a business leader with expertise in leadership, risk management, business strategy, and development finance. He has served in various executive and senior management roles, cutting across microfinance, health management, and banking. This he did in both indigenous and international organizations, and he sits on the board of various companies in the health management, pharma, and fintech spaces. Obinna is a fellow chartered management accountant, FCMA UK, and a chartered global management accountant, CGMA. He has an MBA finance from the University of Manchester, a B engineering, electrical and electronic from Nnamdi Azikiwe University, and is an established conference speaker on SME, health finance, business growth topics, both locally and internationally. So you agree with me when I said earlier that we have two eminently qualified people to take this discourse forward. What this bio didn't say is also that Pastor Obinna Ukachukwu, our moderator and host for today, is also the chairman of the Covenant Community Initiative of the Covenant Nation. And in a way, we call him our boss. So it is with great pleasure that we'll hand you over to Pastor Obinna to take the discourse forward. Obinna, over to you.
Thank you very much, everyone, those that are online and those that are on the studio. I'm glad to have you, that you have me around, and it's quite a privilege to be talking to Colin this evening and listen to him share his wealth of experience. Now, Colin, I would like to, when we were reading your profile, something was just going through my mind. When you were 21 years old, did you imagine that you'll be here today, where you were and what you're doing?
Okay, first, let me thank the organizers
Yeah, exactly.
for the privilege of inviting me to this very unique event. Looking around the studio, I see young people, quite energized when I see youth, because interestingly for me, you guys represent the oxygen through which I live and breathe. Thank you for coming and thank you so much for inviting me. When I was 21, did I imagine this? Without any doubt, I imagined something far less than this at 21, but I imagine myself far greater than I am, in spite of everything. I had a vision at a very tender age, at the age of 9, that I was going to be successful, I was going to be great, I was going to be unique, I was going to contribute value at the age of 9. And my parents used to wonder that, look, we're not a rich family, we're not successful, and yet we're struggling, and you are this guy crossing your leg on the couch and telling us this vision of who you're going to be. So at 9, yes, I saw a bit of what I'm seeing, but I never really truly could believe that I am here on this stage at this point in time doing what I'm doing.
Thank you very much. So I'll draw from that. Whenever you reflect, do you now think that the state of your mind, how large your mind was as a child and as a growing up youth, irrespective of the things around you, has actually given you the opportunity to blossom the way you have? And how would you want to translate that in form of a lesson to people growing up?
Okay, let me share a bit of my background. I grew up in Shomolu. I was born in Shomolu, and my life traversed around that particular area. My parents were poor. They became relatively successful, then again back to poverty. So we're oscillating between poverty and prosperity. And in between that, we're of course living in a rented apartment. So we had to move around and the rest of them. Of course, when poverty came, it came with a bang, a negative bang for that matter. That led me through the journey of having to being a conductor. I was a bus conductor, I was a fuel attendant, and I was a vendor selling newspapers in Shomolu. And my friends and colleagues then, they all wanted to go to Belgium, which was the destination point at that time. UK, very few people mentioned the United States. Most of them wanted to migrate to those places, but I felt no, I wasn't going to go anywhere, but I used to see challenges as opportunities right from the time when I was a very young child. So I knew somehow, somewhat, with diligence, with hard work, with dedication, with a lot of divine grace and divine favor, I will definitely be able to cross the Rubicon. And here I am today doing what I'm doing. One of the things I say to most of the young people around us is that if you look at Nigeria today, the propensity is there for you to say, hey, just like Andrew, you want to check out. But I tell you what, there's no better nation on planet Earth than Nigeria. This is the most beautiful country ever for me. I've had the privilege of traveling far and wide, and I've seen a lot of people, I've met a lot of great people. And I tell you what, this is just the place to be. Where you have challenges, where you have problems, where you have difficulties, where you have things that are not necessarily available the way they should be, the absence of those things represent an opportunity for those who can take them. So the adversity of Nigeria is an opportunity that can be tapped into. I love the fact that I'm in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. I know our audience online, you can send in your questions. I think is there a link or a WhatsApp? Okay, it's on Zoom. You can actually ask your questions there and we will take it up. I think Riade already has a question to everyone, and those in the technical department will be looking at it very well. Thank you, Riade, for that particular comment. So I'd ask a second question or a third question. So what are the key things you would say you did right in life that has contributed to your success in business?
The first thing is that I met God. That really has helped me. More than 90% of my success story is attributable to God Almighty, because I met him when I needed him. And he's never failed me in spite of all the challenges and difficulties I've had to pass through. The remaining 10% represents the following. One, my humble background grounded me so well in humility. I just cannot but remain humble. That has helped a lot. I realized that I'm just here for a moment. I'm not here forever. And whilst I'm here, the only reason I'm here is primarily to add value. There is a mission assigned to every man, and that every man can and must necessarily and intentionally seek the reason why he was created. To that extent, I'm glad that I've had to experience the challenges and difficulties that I've been through. Apart from that is the fact that I look around and I say to myself, it's people. It's just about people for me. I love people. I love being around people. I get a lot of energy from people. They energize me a lot. I love to listen. I love most especially the youth. Most of my friends are far younger than I. And at times some of my contemporaries and mates always wonder, why do you always intentionally gravitate to the youth. I say, well, everything we know at this age is about past tense. I hate to talk about the golden age of yesterday. I want to talk about the bright future. And the only way I can see that bright future is through the highs of the younger generation. So I intentionally crave to hear what the youth, what they are thinking about, how their mind is working. If you look at the way the world is shaped today, where we were some years ago, when we were in the university, even before university, we used to use slide rule. I'm sure most of the people, if not everybody in this room here, don't know what a slide rule is. We're using slide rule. From there, we moved on to log table, and then from there to calculator and the rest of them. Today, things have changed so dramatically. When you go to the library, those days, you're going to open volumes of books, a lot of books, sitting down at University of Lagos, bringing all sorts, trying to read as much as you possibly could. But today, you just Google it. And through the highs of the youth. So I've gained so much in terms of my relationship with the youth. And also, I think I have that keen ability to spot talent far higher than normal. Once I engage people, I look beyond what they're saying, and I'm trying to see who they are beyond what they're saying and what they're doing and the rest of them. So I'm able to put a lot of these things together in order to form a relationship, enduring relationship that has helped me greatly in life. I'm not somebody that is a sole trader. I love partnership. I've had the privilege of setting up my own organizations, and I left my own company to join Sahara. A lot of people see me today and say, yes, one of the owners of Sahara. I joined Sahara as just an employee. I didn't join Sahara as an owner. And today, by His grace, I'm one of the owners of the company. Only just through the dint of hard work, tenacity of purpose, clear vision, value addition all the way, and ensuring that we stay the course, staying focused on what is right and doing what makes sense and adding value to society. As an organization, most people don't know how we grew. We're 25 years just this year. And if you look at contemporary organizations, maybe almost about 98% of those companies formed the same time we started our journey. They're no more. But today, we've grown phenomenally, primarily because of the fact that it's a partnership. And in a partnership, what it means is simply the fact that you're pulling different resources, different talents together, and of course, you're baking a bigger cake. So in Sahara, what you see is that you have one of us running through upstream, you have another person doing downstream, you have somebody doing power, you have some other person chasing assets here and there. So it's just diversified pool of talent. So we come to the table, bringing this talent together, and of course, that is what people are celebrating today in the multi-billion-dollar businesses we are running by His grace.
Thank you very, very much. I want you to talk to us about failing. So, drawing from your experience and some events that you will call failed, that you made wrong decisions or you made a wrong move, and you graded it that you failed there. Can you just give us an instance and tell us how you recovered from it and how you keep recovering from such setbacks?
Okay, when they were reading my bios, I think I heard the Majestic review in Sierra Leone, where we tried to acquire the refinery. That was around 2004, 2005, if my memory serves me right. I went to Sierra Leone and I did the assessment of the asset. Except for the catalytic factor that was alive, every other thing that was dead. There was a need then at that time to remove even the storage facility and every other thing. But the gantry, I think that one was still relatively fine. We did not make that investment. And years later, I've been asking myself if given the opportunity again, will I buy that asset? I think the answer is yes now. Yes, because of the fact that infrastructure, technology is going to be the order of the day. Those who own infrastructure and assets of that size, they would dominate and they would control a lot of things in different societies. So by and large, that was not something that turned out very well. However, for me, it's not a failure. because therein was the seed that we needed to take and plant again for some of the assets we now currently own. When we started out, we're a trading outfit. We're just selling crude oil, selling petroleum products, and that was it. And the question I asked then in 2007, 2006 actually, was, hey, how do we navigate from who we are as just a trader to somebody that is truly adding value that society can point to and say, hey, because of you, we have this particular benefit. Now, we went first into selling crude oil, providing, not crude oil, diesel for some of the assets, generating assets, more like generators actually, in Abuja those days. Abuja was powered by generators for about 28, 30 months. And we had the opportunity of supplying diesel for these generators. So at that time, I asked a question that, look, why are we just supplying diesel with the logistic nightmare associated with having to bring diesel all the way from Warri, Kaduna, Port Harcourt, and all sorts. So we had 30 trucks moving every day, delivering diesel into this power plant. So invariably at that time, just for you to be able to understand what I mean here, we had 10 trucks that will be receiving, 10 trucks that will be on the way, 10 trucks delivering and discharging. So perpetually we're monitoring movement of supply of diesel to these generators. And it dawned on me that that was a very wasteful and real nightmarish project that we had to handle. Then looking at the whole country, the population then was just about 120 million, and the question was, how can we, the biggest nation in Africa, in terms of population, is the one that is just supplying electricity to the nation's capital through generators, that this is an opportunity that we can't truly leverage on, and we did leverage on it. Hence, we bought Egmi power plant. That was in 2007. And amazingly, part of what I probably would need to pass on to the youth is that we bought the asset in 2007. We did not take over the asset until 2013. Meanwhile, we are paid to the federal government $28 million. So for 6 years, we have $28 million given it to government without collecting the asset to manage. But we had to stay the course because we realized that, look, if we don't persevere, if we don't persist, we will lose it. As a matter of fact, again, another lesson for those of us listening and the people here present, I was offered the privilege of becoming the Minister of Power. I also become the Minister of Power. And I said to myself that this is a bait. What do I seek in life? What do I want in life? Do I just want to be a minister and do showboating or going around with siren? And then after 4 years, max 8 years, if I'm lucky enough, I'm going to be out. Or I'm going to have an asset that I can use to change the story of electricity supply in Nigeria. And I said no. So I rather held on to the asset tenaciously, and thankfully today we're running the asset. And as at the time we took over this asset, it was doing 400 megawatts. Today we're doing 1,100 megawatts.
Thank you very much. So that experience was a seed to one of the greatest investments that you have actually made. You know, there is something about doing business in sub-Saharan Africa and in Nigeria, lack of data. People just come to you with different projections that are not based on anything concrete. You know, many times people say, if you're doing Nigeria, they say you have 200 million people in Nigeria. But really, when you're doing a business, you probably need to model for the earning population, maybe 20 million, I don't know. So how do you make your decisions irrespective of the fact that you do not have core data to guide those decision making? How do you navigate that decision making process in your businesses?
Okay, just yesterday, one of my mentees visited me, and we were discussing his own future, and I simply just told him that he had better go to learn French as well as coding. He said, okay, why? And I told him that, look, tomorrow is going to be about artificial intelligence, it's going to be about machine learning, it's going to be about data analysis and all that. There's going to be data, data, data everywhere. Now, data is meaningless except it is used. You can have data, but you don't know how to use it. It's of no use to anybody. It's of no use to even you. But you have to have two approaches in decision making. Interestingly, I was reading the book How to Lead by David Robertson. I think it's even in my car as I sit here. And I was reading through this particular book. It was an interview done with quite a number of leaders, managers, and people that have transformed societies. This guy interviewed Jeff Bezos. And Jeff's response to this question you just asked is that for him, it's about intuition, it's about gut, it's about instinct. That yes, if you have the privilege of analyzing, fine. But if you don't have that, if your instinct and your gut does not support the data you have in front of you, he's not going to do it. Now, that's the richest man in the world. And if he's speaking, you had better listen. So for me, it's a combination of the two. Yes, we're going to use data. You said it's not available. Yes, we'll create one. We're doing that with regards to our assets in Ikeja Electric today. One of the things we're doing is that we did right from the time we took over the asset was customer enumeration. We were of the view that for us to be able to develop appropriate strategy in order to engender regular, stable supply of power, we need to know who our customers are. We need to know where they are. We need to know the level of consumption. We need to know the time when they consume electricity, the appliances, their capacity and willingness to pay. All these things were factors that we felt we require. But be that as it may, in spite of all this data that we have now at our beck and call, largely it's really about gut, instinct, that drives most of the decision. You see the data, you analyze the data, because things do change in the marketplace. Customers' preferences, tastes, and all that do change as well. So you need to find a way to really live in the life of the customer, and it's just everything is about the customer. What's the customer saying? What's the customer thinking? Where's the customer going? The money in the customer's pocket, where is it going? Where are they spending their money? Why are they spending money on what they are spending money on? Those are issues that come into play. But I think it's, to answer you directly, it's both coming into play. Data is important, but instinct is essential.
Thank you very much. Now, after this particular question, I'm going to take one question from the people sitting online and from the congregation. Whoever is the first person, I'll give them the opportunity for that particular question. Now, you talked about paying the government for a particular asset, that's EGMI, I think, 5 years, is it 5?
6 years.
6 years before you actually took possession.
Yeah.
Now, it should have gone through different ministers of power, definitely, and you have different governments.
Yeah.
How have you been able to stay relevant in this undulating political climate, especially because you're doing a business where the government has interests? How have you kept that?
There's a key word that is essential that I want to admonish every one of us to use every day of our life. Trust me, this word is so essential. When you finish speaking to your Lord and your Savior and Jesus Christ and all that, the next very important word is alignment. It's alignment. You see, two cannot work together except they agree. So one of the things you must necessarily and intentionally seek in order to forge a partnership that works and endure is for you to have alignment with the people you're speaking to. One of the things I equally shared with one of my mentees recently is the fact that when the youth of today, when they see a big man in quotes, there's nobody big really essentially, but a big man societally, what do? Most of all, in time past, is autographs you're looking for. You want to sign an autograph and use that to show your friends that you met this person. Is that consequential for me? No. At another time, what do? You say you want to take selfie. in this age of whatever, you just want to take selfie. Fine, yes, you're going to share that picture with your friends. We're going to see that you met with Jeff, you met with Bill, met with Elon. Fine, you've done all that, so. And then after that, what next? These men I'm mentioning, as well as presidents of nations that God has given me the grace and the favor to meet, they need help. They are looking for somebody to help them. They are challenged as well. Forget the facade of prosperity you see, because interestingly, one of the things you see with those who are successful is that to go to the top is very easy. Trust me. To stay there is more difficult than you getting there. You can make money. You can be a billionaire today. You can be a multi-billionaire tomorrow. It doesn't mean anything. How do you stay there? Now, staying power requires more power. So what you need to do is to find alignment with them. And what I've always done, repeatedly, without fail, is not to project my interest, not to go asking for what I want, but rather I'm telling them that I'm available to help them achieve their own goal. I'm asking them, where can I be of help to you? Where can my expertise be of assistance to you to help you achieve your goal? Trust me, you are likely to get more favorable response and relationship through such alignment. You cannot get it done if you just carry your paper asking for contracts. Give me this project. Or you carry your CV. Take my CV, sir. Give me a job. He's not going to give you a job. He doesn't just give jobs like that. But if he knows that you have something he needs, be readily sure that he's going to have you on, and you're going to be his guy anytime, T.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Kola. So for all those that are hoping that our guest speaker becomes their mentors, what you should do is you should look at his life, look at his company, look at everything he's doing, and ask yourself, how can I be of value to this man? Now, I get too many requests for mentorship. So I have, oh, sir, I want you to mentor me. I want you to mentor me. And at the time, I didn't know how to respond. But most times I just say, okay, yes, it depends on you. You know, because it's difficult to put your time down except someone is pulling it and supporting you in something. So that's just one thing to take out of this particular conversation. If you need to be in alignment with government, that's leadership.
Yeah.
Then you need to find solution for leadership, because leadership has its own problems.
Correct.
If you want to keep a top mentor, someone that would coach you and mentor you, then you need to find a way to support that particular person. That is just the way. The idea or the practice where people go to beg for things, beg for jobs, beg for contracts, it turns off successful people and leaders. That's what I actually gleaned from what he just said. So one very direct question from the people online, and it's quite it's quite basic, but since you spoke about it, you were an employee in Sahara. How did you become an owner? You know, it was just, it's like it's veiled. Everybody's saying, how did that work? How do you transition?
It was simple for me, really, but very difficult, I must say. Simple because it was done, at least. So difficult because it was really a tormentous period for me. How? Okay, I left my own company where I'm a shareholder, and the company is still very much alive. I'd been seeing these young men, and I saw that, look, the energy, the passion, the drive, there is something that aligns with my own personality in them. Meanwhile, in my previous industry, insurance, and I'm sure you all know insurance fairly well, very difficult service to sell. But thankfully, I was successful. For the period I had to do my insurance thing, almost 12 years put together. And I just said, okay, where do I go from here? Now, insurance was a very restrictive area where you just needed to follow the rule, follow the law, everything, overly regimented business for me at that time. So I tried my best possible, and I found that, look, the passion wasn't there anymore. I was just doing it as work, not passion, no more passion. So met this young man. I kept selling insurance first and foremost to them. They had a family member that was doing their insurances, and they told me, sorry, we cannot give you this because one of us is doing that for us. So I laughed. So what I did was to check out how they procure their insurance, the kind of services they are receiving, whether or not they are satisfied, and I was able to extract information valuable enough for me to put together a package that eventually sold. Because again, they felt this guy was coming every day. I was tenacious. I was so patient. I didn't care about the fact that they would go leave me in the office, and then later the guard will tell me that, sorry, they've gone. But they saw me now. Well, they saw you, but you too, why are you coming every day? Go and do something else elsewhere now. I said, okay, no problem. They don't know who is coming. The following day, I'll be the first person they will see again. Oh boy, you didn't go home. No, how can I go home? There's something chasing me. I was chasing you. You guys now, you had better do business with me if you want to rest. So one day, one of them now told me and said, Kola, look, enough is enough. You've done a great deal of chasing us around for 3 years. Okay, let's start a relationship. Take our insurance. So Trey took the insurance, did what was then relatively not done before, provided services beyond their own wildest imagination, and they felt, okay, if this guy could do this, then he's probably the missing link in what we require in order for us to go forward. And that was it. And then got in, and I looked at the template as well. I saw that all the other places I could sit in, positions have been taken by them. So, but nobody was doing power. So I just said, guys, I think the next big thing for us as a company is electricity. That you guys staying as a trader, you have no value, you're really adding to society. You're plot 2, 3, 4 Adiola Deco, nondescript building. Nobody knows what you're doing here. Nobody sees the services you are rendering. They probably would assume you are doing 419, and that's how you're making money. So it's not understandable to them. But when you're doing something tangible, something real, something they can feel, something they can relate with, that probably thereafter, the kind of respect you deserve, you will get. And that was it. Before we say Jack Robinson, I became a partner and owner.
Okay, before we start rushing out, before they start telling us that our time is getting up, I wanted to address this thing that is in our country today about the dearth of hope. You see, a lot of youths believe that or think that there's no chance of succeeding in this country. When they look at people in your generation, they say there was an opportunity then. That's why they succeeded. What do you have to tell them? Because this hope is actually a currency. If youths don't believe they can succeed, then they might never have that large heart that you had in your time.
Okay. Okay, lately I've been doing something that I probably will have to share because interestingly it's with the youth as well. I've had interactions with Aboyeje, Flutterwave.
Yeah.
I've had interactions with Babs Ogundeyi, Kuda. So a few days ago, Toby Oke and I had a transaction done as well. Tayo, the Max NG boy, equally. Now, all these are young people, they are not old people, so nobody gave them anything, but they created something out of nothing. The first thing that you need to address is your mindset. If you don't address your mindset and you don't address it frontally now before it's too late, I think the curtain will draw on you sooner than later. And may you not regret the fact that you came, you saw, but you didn't conquer. For you to be able to take dominion, position of dominion in your environment, which is what the Lord God commanded us to do. That's the mandate, that we should dominate. You really need to have that mindset that you are going to succeed, you are going to thrive, irrespective of whatever challenges life may throw at you, you are going to make it. Once you start with that mindset that you are going to make it, trust me, you're 50% down the line. Now, the remaining 50% is for you to remain tenacious, for you to find the right relationship, and for you to project the right value. Your value proposition is your identity. If you are solving problems in society, society will look up to you. The challenge we are going through, and trust me, this is temporary. I don't see all the issues that dominate the newspaper headlines today as being the issues that we're going to be talking about some few years to come. I see a change in the narrative for Nigeria. Because why? These younger generations that are going places, the world is watching and the world is coming. 200 million population is not a joke. Why is China, why is America interested in Nigeria? It's because of the population. It's because of the natural resources. It's because of the fact that where we have refused to extract gold and we're only extracting bronze, the world is seeing gold. They're seeing something beautiful. If you perpetuate the thought process of only speaking evil to Nigeria, you will see evil. If you continue to say there is no hope, there can't be anybody, I can't sell hope. Hope is not something that is visible. It's invisible. It's for you to internally believe in yourself that, look, irrespective of whatever is going on, I'm going to make it. I intentionally, by His grace, said I'm going to make it, and I've not even started. I still have a long way to go. So I've not gotten to the bus stop of where I'm headed. I've not even halfway there yet. So I still have a long way to go. Why for me? Is that each time I see the people in our society that is suffering, that is poor, that is lacking, that needs help, and is not being helped, that is a scar on my own conscience. It means that something needs to be done by people that God has given the privilege of making it. So you can make it. You will make it. Find the right relationship, nurture yourself very well, relate with the best of minds, and then you're going to get there.
Thank you very much. I don't think there is any better person to talk to us about this than a successful businessman that is born again. You know, when you reflect on the history of Sahara, it was started 25 years ago about that, and we were not in a democracy at the time.
Yeah.
So many times when young people talk about the older generation having opportunities that don't exist today, or if you cast your mind back to the older generation, their time, people were still running out of Nigeria, and it was as if there was no hope.
Of course.
But in spite of that, you can see us speaking with him today, meaning that in the next 25 years, some of us, some people, some of the youths will be spoken to this particular way, that some people will succeed in spite of all this. And what he has just said is, as a man thinks in
So
his
he is.
heart,
Yeah.
so is he. So I'd like to ask you one question, one very, I think you've touched on it in different areas, but because you're a different person, you're a 21-year-old you getting out of school today, with the current advancements in technology, with what is happening in Nigeria and the world, and wants to succeed, what would you advise the person to do?
Okay, I'll advise the person to write a cover story. You have to write a cover story of your own life, projecting into your own future. That what do you see in the next 25 years? What do you see in the next 30 years? What obstacles do you see yourself overcoming? How do you see yourself overcoming those obstacles? What value system do you need to hold on to tenaciously with your life to be able to take you there? What are the opportunities around that people are calling challenges and problems today that you can help solve? When you write that cover story, inherent in it is the vision statement you need to consistently look at in order to say to yourself and mark yourself, I've done this, this is yet to be done, on and on you go. Now, if your life is not a lottery, if you don't want to play a lottery with your own life, if you don't want to just gamble with your life, it invariably means that you need to stay your true north. You must be anchored on the basis of critical values that has delivered results to other people. Principle-driven life. Is your life being led via principle? Do you have principle around you? Occasionally, you need to do what Jesus Christ did. Ask people, who do you think I am? Now you're getting that feedback. That feedback is not necessarily 100% correct, just exactly the same way Jesus Christ had his own encounter, but it's just a feedback for you to say, okay, maybe I need to adjust here, maybe I need to adjust there. Then number two, please, I want to beg the next generation. Don't fake it till you make it. It's unnecessary. You know, I had an encounter with a man just a few minutes before we started this session, and he's here. I hope I'm not going to embarrass him. Licky, you know this building. And I asked him, that, okay, we're going to see you on Forbes. He said, no, I don't want to be in Forbes. I'm not interested. And internally, I started clapping. Well done, this guy is going to go far. Because part of what we have, the urge of this generation, is the urge to be liked. You want to post things on Instagram and Twitter, and you want to consistently check how many likes. You're wasting your time. The bakers of destiny, great destiny, they didn't do any of those things. Check the lifestyle of Jeff, Bill. You will see that they went down. They created something of value. Their worth was what advertised them. There is no need for you to want to be celebrated and be spending money or spraying money on any musician for people to like you. It is not necessary. It is when you are doing something that lacks substance, that you are seeking public appreciation, that they must salute you, they must edify you. It's of no use. I've seen some very interesting things where people go to restaurants and they snap their food and put it on Instagram. And I'm wondering that, man, what does this mean? That your food is going into your belly. So what value is that to society? It's of no value. But yet, because you want to show off, it's not necessary. Understate your value. Understate your worth. That way, you will endure. You will go far. By the time the world is aware of who you are and where you are, it will be too late for them to pull you down. When the world is paying attention on you, the typical behavior is similar to the law of diminishing return. At first sight, they are going to come in and say, oh, wow, ooh, ooh. After a while that you are staying on the stage, they will say, oh boy, what you do now? You don't do. Because they have to go. Nighttime will come, and it's all over. So are you still going to stay on the stage, still singing when there is no audience? No. The fillip of your life, your energy must be on the basis of the value you are adding to society, you're adding to other people. How are you helping people? When you are helping people, successful people are servants of people. They are perpetually looking for ways and means of assisting other people. Jeff owns only 16% of Amazon. A lot of people think he owns it 100%. He doesn't. He's working for several millions of other people. They are unseen. They are okay. They are fine. He's the poster boy of the company. 84% belongs to other people. And same with Bill. Just 4%. 4. So all these attention-seeking thing is absolutely unnecessary. Nigeria doesn't have enough roads. Nigeria does not have good hospitals. Nigeria does not have good schools. Nigeria does not have most of the basic things that the world apparently has moved on ahead of. That's an opportunity. Technology is going to be the name of the game. 80% of services will be rendered by technology in the future. So if you've learned any skills today, go and learn some new skills. I'm studying maths very soon. I'm going back to school to study physics. Why? Because I knew that physicists, mathematicians, they are going to determine what goes on in the future. So I need to have that currency to spend in that future so that I'm not looking for that knowledge. So the more the knowledge, the better I become. Seek knowledge, and most importantly, apply it. That's what is called wisdom.
Thank you very much, sir. This is quite instructive. For those of us online, I would encourage you to drop your questions. There's no need, don't raise your hands, just drop your questions in the chat box and we will pick it up. I'd prefer that this screen is a little bit cleared so I can see the questions dropping. Now, I heard you talk about being employed by Sahara, and you've gone through the ranks, you've gotten shares, and now you own a major part of the company. What do you look out for in an employee that makes it tick for you and say, I think this person would go far, I will hire this person? I know we're talking about buying businesses, but it's a journey many times.
Yeah.
What do you look out for in that person?
The first thing is passion. For me, passion is something I love to see. If you're not passionate about something, you won't give your best to it. You must be a passionate person. For me to say to you, yes, I tick the box, this guy is good. You must be willing to accept additional responsibility. If you come to me and say that in your previous company, they were loading you with necessary work, okay, fine, X, no. If you tell me everything negative about your previous employer, no, I won't hire you. There's no matter, even if you have first class distinction, it's of no use to me. But if you come and say that, look, you are in a place, but you're doing well there is a great company, but yet you want to be greater. Okay, we're talking. Then you tell me, in your company you have this deficiency that I've seen. As a customer, I've used your product and I'm not happy about it. I feel something is wrong with your process and I think I can help you in that regard. Oh, fantastic, we're talking. But when you're talking about just pay, you just want I pay, or you want to use G-Wagon, you want to look at for those flashy things, you are not employable to me. Or if for some, they will start to cry, they will start to mourn. You can't use that to get to me. It's not going to get me. I need to see you truly demonstrating the capacity to solve problems. You must be a problem solver. You must be solving problem currently. And by the way, you sitting in front of me, I am your problem. You have to solve my problem. Because you have to find a way to engage me. It's like somebody that says to me is a marketer, and then I'm interviewing you, and you're failing. That means you're not a marketer, because you're marketing yourself. The first person to market is yourself before you even market my product. So if you can't market yourself very well to me, and you're now sending your uncles to me to say, please hire me, I'm not going to hire you. You know, I had an encounter that was very forwarding and instructive, and it equally speaks to the value system that we need to cultivate. One of the very big people in society sent me the CV of the daughter, and then the daughter went through a motion and all that, but she wasn't employed. And then she now came to me and said, how come you didn't employ my daughter? I said, because she didn't pass. She now said, okay, but if it's the president now that sent you a CV, would you say no? I said, yes, I would say no. And she said, but why? I said, okay, madam, employing somebody is like 8 people running a sprint, 100 meters dash. And then after the race, somebody came first. You're now asking me to give the person that came last gold medal. I said, is it possible? She said, no. I said, that's what you're asking me to do. There's only one vacant position. The race was run, and they finished the race. Somebody came tops. You're asking me to give it to the person that came last. I said, by the way, my own blood brother, I'd gone for interviews with some of my friends and failed. And my mom said, please talk to them to hire. I said, Mommy, I won't tell them to hire, because it means that they have somebody better than my own brother that can help them to achieve their goal. I don't want to be part of those to contribute in the destruction of the company. So I want somebody who will help me grow, who will make me become better. I want sustainability. I'm not going to live for life. I want people who can carry the baton and run it faster than I. Not somebody who will slow the company down on the basis of sensibilities and all the sentiments associated with employing in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. There are a lot of questions here, but you've actually answered most of them as it relates to how you transition from being an employee to an owner, and the attitude a young person in Nigeria today should take, given the scenarios around and the opportunities, the fact that they think about the dearth of opportunities. Whoever sent this particular thing here, Mr. Kola had talked about your thinking. So that scripture that says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. There is no way you can be larger than your heart. You can never be larger than your heart. And I would also poke that heart question here, and that's capital. Many times people come up with ideas and you tell them, you ask them, why aren't you taking this your idea for that? They will say, you see, it requires a lot of capital. So as someone that has built businesses, talk to us about capital, accessing capital to fund your ideas. How do you get off the ground?
Okay, today as we speak, about $68 trillion, I repeat, $68 trillion is available around the world looking for where to bet. So the world has a lot of money. There's money. Money is never, ever, ever the issue. The issue is, do you have a viable venture, proposition that is going to solve a problem that you place in front of venture capitalists? That's it. Because as I sit here, I'm looking for opportunities to put money. Money loves money. Money loves value. The only way money can be multiplied is that if you are creating value, if you're solving problems. That's the reason money grows. Elon was not near number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 until he started solving one problem or the other. Now, so until you create a plan on the basis of which you feel somebody can put their money in, nobody is going to put their money in that business. When we started this power journey, everybody, all the banks in Nigeria wanted to put money in power. Because as at that time, everybody looked around Nigeria, there's no power. So invariably, it's no brainer. That power should really be the place to be. Now, unfortunately, there are things that have happened, but no problem. Be that as it may, we're going to overcome that problem. If Nigeria is generating 4,100 megawatts, and South Africa is generating 48,000, and with what comparative population, you'll see that we are still way, way behind. So invariably, there's a gap. There's a need to fill that gap. Whoever is filling that gap, whatever proposition, value proposition you put on the table, money will follow it. Like I said earlier, I've had quite a number of all these young entrepreneurs come to me with value propositions. And in my own little way, I've invested as much as I could in different ventures on the basis of their what? Value proposition. So money is available. Do you have the project that is right? Not a sentimental project, not a plan, a business that does not have a plan, or a business that you just think I know it's going to work. Just have faith. No, money doesn't work like that. I must truly be able to verify what you have put in front of me. I must see the gap in what is available. I must see the competencies you have available in resolving that problem. Then I will know that, okay, there is a customer, there is the competency, then capital will follow.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, I'd like you to talk to church folks. You know, when you started, you said that God was the first thing. He actually impacted your journey a lot. What would you say has been what benefit have you really derived from placing God first in your journey? How has it helped you? Because there is something about church and how to translate the prayer, the wishes, all those desires into real life action. Meanwhile, we're seeing someone that has produced the result and is saying, come on, and the first step to this result is this same God you're talking about. So how did you translate this our same God into this thing you have? Thank you.
Okay, there are two fantastic examples in the Bible. Two great men I love to use as my example. The third one is given, so we'll come back to that. David and Joseph. When you look at the lives of these two men, you will see that before they became successful, they went through a journey, through training, through practice, through all sorts of challenges that they had to overcome before they became ultimate success stories that we all relate to today. Until you get into that motion that, look, that you are praying, that you are in church, does not mean you're not going to go through difficulties, does not mean you're not going to go through challenges, does not mean that you're not going to be tested. No. It means you are going to be tested, but because I'm with you, you will overcome. But I can only be with you if you consistently practice what you are reading. If you stay in the game, you will be part of those that ultimately will be called success stories. Now, Jesus Christ, the third person here, took 33 years of existence. But the first 30 years of his own life, he was doing what? He was accumulating knowledge about the world, the ways of men, how men think, why they do what they do, why did he come from, why is he here, where should he go to, how should you go? Would he go about talking to people and being able to minister to them in a manner that they will say, wow, that's all he did. And 3 years, mission accomplished. But you know, part of the problem of this generation is a microwave generation. There's a generation that wants it now. I've seen the person who started a business, and after starting the business, sooner than 3 months, 4 or 5 months, was already doing adverts in the papers, was already granting interviews. And I'm saying, now wow, you mean this business you just started, you don't know anything yet. You've not gone through the Rubicon. But because of the urge, the urgency that, look, I need people to appreciate me, I need them to know me. No, there's no need for that. And like I think I read somewhere there, it's just like music, filmmaking, and the rest of them. If you look at the story of Tunde Kilani and all the other success stories you all talk about in the world today, if you know what those guys have gone through, apart from the divine inspiration and all those other challenges they have gone through, they've had battle scars. They've had serious battle scars. And the result you're seeing today is a product of accumulated experiences that they've had over the years, and then they were able to overcome. And they were able to overcome on the basis of the fact that they applied those principles of success that is absolutely, those principles are universal. It's not principle that you can say, let me violate this one. No. They are universal principles. You apply them, you achieve results. You don't apply them, forget it.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm going to take this question. I think you've also touched on it, but I'm being very careful that my biases are not affecting the questions I'm choosing, because I think you've touched on some of the answers. But the fact that we still have them means that we need maybe a little bit more emphasis. This particular person, Victor Aye, Victor, yes, I can't really see through. It says, how do you go about getting an idea into fruition, even with the difficult challenges with bureaucracy and vested interest? The thing of value being needed and it is of importance is not appreciated by those in power that are supposed to, he used the word see through, but I think he's trying to say that are supposed to enable it.
Okay, different strokes for different folks. In Nigeria, one of the things you probably will need to do is that if your business model is one that is run of the mill, you want to make soap, for instance, now, bar soap, there's not, intellectual property to that.
no patent, nothing. So everybody can do it. So if you write a business proposition and it's about soap making, you're not doing anything unique. But if you're doing, because our conversation here today, remember, if this conversation is about small businesses, there are things I will say. But we're talking of mega bucks.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's mega here. We're talking of billions. We're not talking of millions. So there are some changes here and there that you really need to have in mind. Now, the market is what your target should be. Now, when it comes to you selling something to government really and truly, oftentimes, the majority of us have it at the back of our minds that it's only through government we can make it. No. Erroneous assumption. There is somebody there in Ogun State that makes big cola. Do you know big cola?
Mm-hmm.
You know big cola. Does the man go to Abuja to see the president? Does he need to see the president? He doesn't need to see the president. He's doing his own thing in his own corner, and the man is successful. Adegoa. He's doing very well. So, you see, the mindset of, let me take a proposal to government, is a contractor mindset, is a contract mindset. Now, that mindset has its own limitation. Unfortunately, because of our environment, is a limitation that has the boundary of knowing somebody in power. Without that, you are not going to move forward. So you know that that's the space that you're operating in. But we're talking here about how do you take it from government into the marketplace. Now, when you look at the GDP and the gross national product of Nigeria, the money being spent by government is just 3%. 97% is what those people in Okiari, Alaba, Oshodi, all those things, the kind of money exchanging hands every day in those places are unbelievable. Meanwhile, you have quite a number of people that will just go and sit in Abuja waiting for one minister and be doing sir. Then you will take his name to the pastor will take the name to God on your behalf. But meanwhile, all you need to do is open your mind. There is something there required by the people who has the willingness to pay that you need to work on. What is that thing? Now, it is really a mindset thing. If you believe that, yes, your business proposition is one that needs government for certain people, yes. For certain industries, yes, undoubtedly. But beyond that, MTN does not need government. Econet does not need government. They are minting money every day. InterSwitch does not need government. Exactly. Flutterwave does not need government. Kuda does not need government. So a lot of businesses are happening on a day-to-day basis that don't depend on government. Less of government, better for you.
Thank you very much, sir. There's this very important question that I'd like to ask you. It resonates a lot with me because I've been around industry. So I've been in banking, I've been in healthcare, development finance, and I'm back in banking. Now, but yours was, and I have my background in engineering. So I started from engineering, went through IT, and just went through, and I'm where I am today.
Thank you.
Now, you actually did insurance. and it actually got me almost laughing when you got into Sahara and you said you had looked at everything they were doing and there was only one place that was vacant, energy. I'm like, how does an insurance man come into a company and say, I want to do energy?
Exactly.
What mindset should we develop, or what mindset did you have that made you take that move?
Okay. There are three things really that will make you successful in life. Just three in any business: your talent, your strategy, and your risk. Now, the last one is my own area of expertise: risk. I'm a risk manager by training, so I see risk everywhere. Invariably, I see problems. My risk analysis has exposed me to seeing problems easily. I get into an environment, and what am I looking for is risk. As I'm here, I've thought of the risk of fire. Like there is a fire incident, how do I get out of here? So, of course. So now, if you have that mindset, those three things, don't forget, and I repeat this for the sake of emphasis: talent, strategy, and risk. Now, with regards to risk for me is that, and that's what led me to power. It's like, hey, looking around, what's going on here? These guys, they have a risk. What's the risk? They are making money. Yeah. But hello, what are they doing with the money? Exactly. They're not adding value to society. So society is not really seeing the effect of the money that they have available. So let's go and solve the power issue. And before too long, today, a lot of people call me engineer. I hear people call me engineer, and I'm looking at them, which engineer is talking about?
I actually had to look behind the screen to see whether there was an engineer behind his
Of
name.
course. And when I start now, you say, this man must have done engineering that way.
Exactly. In fact, this is it's something we should all go home with. Solving problems really have nothing to do with where you are today. It just has to do with you identifying what problem it is. And you can actually pool resources together to solve those problems. And it has to do first with an open mindset. I'm just taking up what I've learned from what he's saying. So you're someone in insurance and you get employed by this particular company. And it's possible that you just think about it and say, how do I make the insurance better? How do I probably go into their finance? How do I do this? That's just tunnel. But he comes in and says, hey, where are the opportunities? I'm a risk person. Risk is risk, where are the opportunities? And we would go in there. There is money to spend, to burn in that particular idea. And let's just go in. What am I saying? Don't be a tunnel-minded person.
Yeah.
Usually when I ask people, maybe a fresh graduate that has access to me just comes in and says, I want to work for you. And I say, so what would you do? The next thing they say, I studied physics. I said, but I work in a bank. I understand physics. I said, but I work in a bank. I just want to know what you will do. So open up your mind. And the first thing I throw at them, I say, can you sell? Will you sell? And the first time the person says, oh, no, I'm not interested in sales, I just log off somehow. Because every person that will be successful with business and putting their ideas to market must have an open mind and must know that they must sell the business to somebody. So somebody must buy. So you must be a sales person. So have an open mind. I'll ask this last question, except there is a more important one I see here. Okay, what is in the DNA of Sahara? Now, companies have come and gone down in 25 years, and Sahara is still on the ascendancy. What would you say is in the DNA of this company that is not a software related? Most of the companies raising big bucks today are just they're tech, in quote, real tech related, but this is real services. This is real sector. What is in the DNA of Sahara that is making it grow in leaps and bounds?
People. It's just the people. What we've done in the last 25 years is to intentionally seek those talents that can help us achieve the goals we've set for ourselves. Remember, it was a 3-man company. Now the ownership has grown to 6. And it's growing. Why? Because inherent in our people are resources and talent to be nurtured to greatness. It's an architect mindset. An architect sees a building in his mind before you and I see it. So it's not something, the mind of an architect is the mind of God. It's the one that says, okay, before creation, what am I seeing? And then you start step by step to put blocks in place and get the building up there for people to see. The DNA is one of cross-pollination of ideas. The DNA is one of where ideas just flourish. We just love color. We love people. We love to hear people. We love to push people. In Sahara, you have to sink or swim. If you're hoping for people to take you through a manualized process of how we do things, you're going to be lost forever. Because nobody's going to do that for you. You're going to have to find your way and the rest of them. Now, it's about relationship. Now, of course, on the basis of those we've interacted with, those we've met, opinions that have been expressed, and challenges that we see, we all perpetually, consistently seek, how do we bring energy to life? How do we ensure that we are the provider of choice wherever energy is consumed? That's what drives us every day. That's what wakes us up. Now, you need to have a burning platform mentality. And a burning platform mentality is that each time you go to bed, you must have something that keeps you awake, You're thinking, what more can I do? What else can I do? Who else can I call on to get things done? How do I produce results? All these things are all coming together to create an organization that has gone beyond most of our peers in time. And we're still going to go far. We currently operate in how many countries? And as a matter of fact, the business model was one where we had to outperform the foreigners that used to predominate in the business. Our business was primarily predominated by foreigners. But today, we've been able to take our own position, and that position is expanding in scope and breadth every day. And we'll continue to do so, most especially knowing that we're there to add value.
Thank you very much. We would be taking 3 questions from the audience. Let me see, we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'll start with the lady, don't worry. There are two guys and 1 lady. So I'll start with the lady, please.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay, so I would like to ask, my question will be relating to...
Sorry, what's your name?
My name is Sumi Makokoma.
Oh, great.
And I'm a business owner. I own I'm into food manufacturing.
Okay.
And one major thing I've seen is, and the business I operate in it's a very novel one. No one is doing it, but prior to what you said, when I started, I actually did not even think I was doing something novel, but it was when I started that I realized that my competitors are all foreign. Everybody exports what I'm manufacturing. But when I started it was a case of, I just felt passionate about it. So it's like I've been finding my way along the line since. But the major question I would like to ask is about scaling. I've noticed that at what point in the business do you take on partners? My business is such that I would have to expand exponentially, but at what point do you take on partners? And then I've seen a lot of scaling stories in Nigeria. So with Health Plus and all those other companies, you find out that people scale, and before you know it, the investors try to take over the business or run off. How do you navigate that whole aspect, especially since we're talking mega business, moving from just being an SME to a proper mega business? So scaling is how do you navigate scaling in business?
Thank you.
Okay, can I take that?
Exactly.
Okay. The first thing is that I offer myself to you today as a partner. So the best time to start looking for a partner is now. So I'm here. So
grab it, please, very fast.
So I'm here. You see, note something. Part of what most investors guard jealously is what you're guarding. Unfortunately, you're doing it at your own demerit. Because remember, you're not going to be here forever. No matter how long you live, you're going to go. So you being taken out by other people, don't even bother about that. Because if you look back in time, I'm sure you are familiar with the story of Steve Jobs. What happened to him? His own company, they kicked him out. Then they brought him back. And we all know the way he ended. And the beautiful story, it's the side of the story of Apple that is yet to be told in full, is the fact that Steve left, a transformer took over. Tim Cook has taken the company far higher, far better than Steve himself. So you see, your aspiration is for your business to outlive you anyway. So it's not for you to say, they'll take you out. Sure, I don't mind owning 1% of 100% that is doing 100 billion than for me to own 100% of something that is doing nothing. So I would rather just even be, and like I've cited examples, the people were celebrating the Jeff, the Bills, and the rest of them. What do they own? The percentage they own is nothing. But other persons have come to help them. There are 4 persons in organizations generally. And these 4 persons, we all must pay attention to them. You have champions, you have helpers, you have bystanders, you have resistors. The more the helpers, the better for the business. Champions are usually very few. They are the visionaries, people like you. But you are not many. But you're going to have to look for destiny helpers. And destiny helpers will come in multitude. The resources available to you, when all of us contribute our money, maybe it's more than yours. So invariably, you have more resources to do or to scale up. Because if you don't scale up, like you rightly mentioned, your competitors are foreign. They're foreigners. They are saying what you're doing. They're operating in the same environment. They're probably presently crafting a strategy to take you out because they have the resources. So the earlier you look for partners to scale up, the better for you. And with regards to you that in the future they will take you out, don't worry, let them take you out. It is the brand. You should find a way to craft a strategy that moves you out of being endorsed by people to becoming a brand. Coca-Cola is a brand. You understand? So you need to move. Forget you're not going to be here forever. I'm not going to be here forever, no matter what I do. No matter what Steve does, everybody is gone. It's gone and gone forever. So yours is to, in your grave, for you to sleep well, smiling in heaven, knowing that your company is bigger than what you started with.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll just draw a little bit on that. If you look back in the transport sector in this country, many years ago, there are notable names you would hear. You would hear the likes of those luxury buses, but they're hardly there again. You know, one of the reasons they're hardly there again is that they didn't invite, the business was not larger than them. So when they passed on, the businesses did what? Took a nosedive. We must all realize that a business has a life of its own.
Yeah.
And from the base, from the start date, we must separate ourselves from the business, hoping that the business will outlive us into many generations. And the only way it can do is that you do what? You just hand it out. When I say hand it out, I mean allow it on its own. You know, the scripture says, except a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies,
Right.
it abides what?
Correct.
Alone. So if you hold your business to yourself, guess what? It abides what? Alone. And when you are gone, the business will be gone. In fact, not when you are gone. When your legs are tired, the business will be gone before you. You understand? Thank you very much, sir. I'm actually drawing this particular inspiration. I'm not preaching from what he is actually saying. Okay, we'll go to the next person.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, my name is Steve Ishiguzo. I'm into retail tech. But I'm taking on my question from your experience in the power sector. You mentioned having to acquire a part of the energies within the energy space in Nigeria. And 2013, that's pretty much 8 years now. I'm taking it in perspective to how the financial industry plays today. There were a lot of gaps, but what has significantly impacted on the people today is because startups were able to build services around existing financial structures. And then, you can see the significant impact they've made. Now, in the power sector, solving the Nigerian power problem is a big deal. You have the infrastructures to do so. You chair, one of the most influential part of that, a board that regulates that. I'm saying, what are the opportunities for startups to be able to create or build businesses around your existing business model to be able to pace, the impact you're trying to create and ultimately solve the Nigerian problem eventually around power deficits in Nigeria?
Okay, that's a question I get every day. The best space, really, for you to operate in the power sector today is in the renewable space. That's about the area that, in terms of the capital intensity required for you to enter the market, is not as huge as the amount of resources we put into buying the assets. The renewable space is readily available. Equally, in terms of financial services, part of what we did in Ikeja, previously we used to send out bills, paper bills, to people to pay. But what did we do? We changed that. It's now on your phone by text messages. by emails and all that. That's how people get their bills. So what we're looking at is, how do we get our money back? Because the problem of the sector, let me just give you a summary so that you understand, is that you have a population that needs today, as we sit here today, about 27,000 megawatts for us to operate on the basis of the current businesses available. That's what I see. Forget whatever you hear anywhere, but that's what I see, at least from my own vantage position. Now, but what are we doing? We're doing about 4,001, like I mentioned earlier. So invariably, there's a vacuum here. There's a gap that needs to be filled. Now, how do we fill that gap? The first problem we have is that of tariff. There is a question around whether the tariff is cost reflective or not. And cost reflectivity simply means that the price of the product today is less than the cost of providing the service. Hence, investors like me were struggling to add more resources, more money into the business. Otherwise, we would have injected far more. So the incentive required for us to truly put the resources required for electricity to be available to all is the right tariff. That's not currently there. Now, the question now is, how do you work around that? Now, there is what you call cross-subsidy in the sector. And what cross-subsidy does is that you find the industrial and commercial users paying on behalf of the residential consumers for their electricity. That's why they are paying more than the residential customers. Now, I have issues around that, and I can put that out so that you can equally intelligently find a way around that challenge. If Nigeria truly wants to industrialize, and I assume that industrialization will cure the problem of unemployment, I believe that industry should pay less than residential users. That's my personal belief, that if you truly want to grow our economy and bring all those big companies back to Nigeria, the steel companies and the rest of them that are presently in Ghana and South Africa, if you want to bring them back and give them that competitive advantage they seek, make electricity cheaper. My own school of thought speaks to me and says, make residential customers pay more during the daytime, so that there is we don't want to incentivize you to be lazy. During the daytime, we don't want you to be at home. We want you to be at work. We want you to be using your mind to create wealth, to solve problems, rather than watching home video. So if you know what you want to use electricity during the daytime, you have to pay for it. That's my own belief. You understand? At night, we can now find a way of equalizing poverty by now saying, let's reduce it, and then so that people can enjoy free electricity, affordable electricity in Co. That's my own belief. Now, that's one side of it. Now, the other side of it is infrastructure. Unfortunately, because electricity is not like telecommunication, that is virtual. This is physical. So you need to put something on ground. Now, you need to provide those infrastructure. Unfortunately, in the provision of that infrastructure, you have a risk. It's the risk of vandalism. It's the risk of energy theft. A lot of people will bypass the meters. Meanwhile, they are the eloquent one in the social media that speaks to the fact that people that don't have electricity, we're not enjoying stable supply of power. Meanwhile, they are the ones bypassing the meters and enjoying free power. That speaks to the earlier issue I raised with regards to value system. Part of the reason we are where we are in this country is primarily because of our value system. Most of the proponents you see shouting at the rooftop regarding the problems of Nigeria are those actually, they are the causes of the problem. But because they are eloquent and they have a dominant position to put across their messages, they are doing so. But that is another issue for another day. Leadership is going to deal with that at some point in time very soon. So that's that space. So your own is, what do you see as an opportunity in and there? Now, as a business, let me warn you, in spite of the fact that I told you to go renewable, me, I'm going renewable as well. So we are going to, you understand? Aha. So whatever I'm telling you to do, be rest assured I'm coming at you as well, because I'm going to do renewable big scale, because I equally as an organization want to contribute meaningfully to the carbon credit climate change narrative, and I need to do so sooner than later.
Thank you very much. You see, it was actually getting very interesting. I noticed when he started talking about power, everything inside me was just trying to, I looked at the topic again. business ideas. I was almost going to ask him why he thinks my estate wants to buy a transformer with our money when they are private companies now. I might ask him when we go out of this place. Okay, thank you. Kende, can we have you?
Hello. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So I have two questions. And okay, first of all, my name is Kende Olatere. I'm CEO of a technology company, Cranet. Thank you for coming. So I have two questions, and from a business owner perspective, I just want to ask. I've followed Sarah's story. Everybody knows Sarah Group. 25 years running a business, $1 billion business. I wonder, how did you manage success? So I know Sarah started as a trading company. Yes, you know, there were a lot of companies that was doing the same business, but yeah, and there was a lot of money that was made. You know, it means that if your goal was to make 10 million, at a point you made $1 billion, and everybody was comfortable. How did you manage it go amongst the? And I know you were part of the core founders at that time. Sarah started Sarah Group. So how did you manage the challenges that came with being successful? That's one, as an organization. And also, how did you manage the challenges that, you know, as founders, and also you had a front row seat as to how things played out in Sarah? How did you manage that in terms of relating with the top three, and also people under, and also people on your level? That's two. The second question that I want to ask is, yes, we heard the story of Sarah, success stories, but I know of a certainty, in my little years of running a business, there will be curveballs, a lot of curved balls. So I want to, especially when you are growing from million to billion, there will be curved balls. So can you tell us, I mean, on behalf of other people that are trying to be like a Sarah Group, how did you manage that? That's number one. Number two, what were the key critical decisions you made at that point that was the difference between, let's say, that took you from, I mean, there's 0 to 1, there's 1 to 1,000. So what was the critical decision in the context of a Nigerian business environment now that took you from 1 to 1 million? You know, that short Sarah that was just way ahead of all their fellow organizations. So can you tell us the curved balls? What were the adjustments you made internally and externally? And also, what were the key critical decisions you made, and what areas were what area was it your hiring? Was it, you know, what were those insider stories? You know, let me just put it in that context that people don't know, but adjustments that you made as an organization and individually as founders of Sahara Group. Thank you, sir.
Did you read the book by John McCormack, What They Don't Teach You?
Yes.
You read it?
What did they teach you in business school?
Yes. What they won't teach you in Harvard?
Yes, I did.
What they won't teach you in Harvard?
Yes.
So what you are seeking is conjure.
Exactly. That's because I mean your story is fantastic, but I want to really. That's why I'm here to see.
You're looking for conjure.
Yes.
Okay. I'll share a bit with you. First is this: when you have partners, the first thing you need to manage is your ego. You know, one of the things that has destroyed a lot of organizations is just ego trips. Once one of you become so egoistic to the point that, hey, every other person don't matter anymore, it's just about you, then you've lost the plot. That's number one. How do you manage conflict? There will always be conflict because we are different people anyway. We're all different, so hey, we have different views and all that. But there's something that is so central to our success story, is our shared values. You know, once a decision is taken, is made, we all orbit around that decision and we all go with it and give it life. We energize that decision and bring it to life. We believe that that's the only way we can consistently continue to outperform ourselves. And the third one is that we allow people to think differently. It's not that you'll be frustrated or clobbered into a position that is seemingly in agreement with mine. You're free to have your own viewpoint. But once a decision has been taken, everybody falls in line. That's another part of our success story. Now, with regards to how did we go far? We went far. I've mentioned it a bit in time past. It's about relationships, actually. It's about performance. You know, when we make a promise, it takes a while to make a promise. Once we make a promise, oh my goodness, we don't mind losing money just to ensure that promise fulfilled. So over time, our customers, they've had that high degree of trust in us and in our ability to deliver, because we always deliver. We will not say yes, and for reasons of changes in dynamics in the environment, now say no. We would rather go through it after performing. I will now come back to you to say, okay, you know the reality changed, dynamics change, but we performed. So what are we going to do? Can we now have a conversation? It's easier for you to have that conversation with your customer than for you to go to your customer and say, you can see that things have changed now. So hey, so what are we going to do? You have to change. You have to pay more for this. No, that is another thing that has helped us incredibly well. The last point, really, for me, is the fact that that big vision is perpetually there to show to every other person in the system. Instead of us, and that's why you see one of the challenges you see with regards to Sahara, and I'm sure a couple of people must have seen this, is in terms of our nomenclature. Who is MD? Who is overall boss? Everybody, you see one day, Kola is chairman. Another day, no, he is executive director. Then another time you see he's GMD this. Then you see Atokpe Shodubi is this. You see Tonya Cool is this. You see Adi. You see all those things, And the reason is simply put this, like I mentioned earlier, with regards to the different portfolios we manage, you are the one managing your shop. My own shop is power. That's my territory. It's mine. You understand? I'm sorry. If anything goes wrong, I'm accountable and I'm responsible for it. So if anything goes wrong, that's my baby. I've just got to nurture it and nurture it to good health. Now, I get support from all my other colleagues. Anyway, they come in to help. Where I'm deficient, they assist. Where they feel I need more boots on the ground, they come with their food. Everybody does that. So everybody and then we enjoy life. Where we are very, very good at enjoyment. When we play very hard. If you have had the privilege of coming to any of our parties, you'll be surprised at how we are responsible and reasonable-minded people, the way we dance, the way we celebrate, we just throw everything away, we just enjoy ourselves. So we are intentionally directed in the goals and the vision we've set for ourselves, and we are working hard to making this company bigger than us. It's no more about us anyway, it's about you. We're serving you.
Thank you very much. I was going to ask you how you succeed in looking so calm and what you do to relax. So I would ask you what you do to relax, because that's another question. But I understand why he looks so calm. He enjoys very well. So what do you actually do to relax generally? I play chess to relax. Personally, to relax, I play chess online.
Then you have to play chess with me. Don't
really?
Play online, play real chess
Oh,
with me.
no, I will. I'll book it. And someone's going to come video it, huh? I'll put it on my LinkedIn page.
Of course. I play chess a lot. As a matter of fact, that's daily routine for me.
Really?
That's the only way I actually unwind.
Wow.
That's my... That once you want to have me settled, not business, is chess. Interestingly, or known to most of my... the people that play with me, and I have a partner that plays with me more regularly than most people. I'm actually using it to solve problems in my office.
Wow. No, I now need coaching. I actually need coaching here. Because I need to be able to translate my chess skills into office skills.
No. I try, I make sure that, yes, once I'm moving the pawns, I'm moving the king around. I'm wondering, why is the king going around? Like I was telling my intern assistant earlier today, that the moment you see a general holding a spear, is no more a general. And that's what killed the Shadian president. The general starts to hold the spear, that he wants to throw a spear. That means there is real trouble in the land. So, and that's with regards to playing chess as well for me, that okay, the moment
the king starts moving,
the king now leaves
his territory,
and is now beginning to rove around. It's easier to kill the king.
Exactly.
The king will soon die. It's about to die. So, and that's one of the lessons I drew from my father and grandfather, actually, that the rabbit that gets shot is the one that goes around dancing in the sun. The rabbit that stays in the hole will stay longer alive. And that speaks to the question, one of the questions he asked earlier, in terms of how we have been able to manage success. Until we got into power that brought us to the big stage, few people knew who we were. We're just there, quietly, okay, doing well, God favoring us. We're not loud. You're not going to see any one of us at any party spraying, never. You're not going to see any one of us showstopper, no. You won't see any one of us do any of such things. We'll quietly enter any event or whatever occasion and go as quietly as we came in, because that's the only way you can stay relevant. Otherwise, when people know you, like I said earlier, the moment you start to attract attention to yourself, you are not easy target. They will shoot you down. That's why the Bible says the heart of man is desperately wicked. It said, who can know it? I don't know you now, but when you announce yourself to me, I start to pay attention to you, isn't it? Now, you cannot now use your own mouth to destroy yourself, which is what majority of the people do, out of the sheer ignorance of wanting to be over-celebrated, over-acknowledged. They just begin to say all sorts about who they are. There was a time I heard somebody celebrating 1 billion naira, that he has 1 billion, and they called the party. I said, hey, how can somebody call a party because you've made money? What is money? Money is nothing. It's fickle. It's just nothing. The value of money is what it can buy, nothing else. It's not, you're not going to eat it. You're not going to do anything with it, except you're showing off. Exactly. So there's no need for me to go around telling people I have 1 billion. Of what use is it to you? I've only made myself a target for you to shoot at. And by the way, I don't have 1 billion.
You know what? What I just, in all the good things he said now, what I just heard is that I'm on my path to success too because I play chess. That is the only thing I heard in everything he said. So if you want to join this successful club, start doing what? Start playing chess. And I'm not doing badly, you know.
You're not doing badly.
I'm actually not doing badly.
There's a point that just touched my mind,
okay.
which I just like to mention. If you remember, when Christ was to be singled out for the purpose of persecution before crucifixion, they didn't know who he was.
Exactly.
They had to ask Judas Iscariot to please point him out. That's the act of betrayal. Meaning that Jesus Christ himself blended.
Yeah.
He didn't stand out. You know, the irony is that with regards to crime and criminality, when you are on at any of the soft spots, I don't want to mention locations just in case they see me tomorrow. I don't know whether they're online. If you stand out in your vehicle, if your vehicle stands out, you are a target. You've exposed yourself. But if your vehicle is black, blends very well, you're driving a normal car, not anything out of the ordinary, that is high popping, that they will say, or more, waiting, but Pepe don't rest. You're in trouble. But if you know you have such cars, and by grace, you should enjoy your life. If you have them, no problem, know where you go to with such vehicles. Go and blend with people that have similar cars so that all of you can be showing off amongst yourself that I better pass my neighbor, just like a generator.
Exactly. Thank you very much. So those of us in the congregation and those online, you can just tap your neighbor and say, no, they do pass yourself. Oh yeah, say it. Say, no, they do pass yourself. Calm down. Okay, I will take the honor to ask the last question. And that last question was actually, I was going to ask it in the beginning, midway, when he said something, because something dropped in my spirit when he talked about, he said, when you're in an environment where you don't have data, you work with instinct and intuition. Now, I know that instincts and intuition are what? They are drawn from bytes of data, many data that's just resting somewhere in the spirit, in the mind. They're not visible data. So that's what usually fuels very strong instinct. So you can say you're a junior person, you have You have instincts, but he has better instincts than that junior person because of a lot of bites of information. And those information come many times from observing closely and from reading. Now, observing closely means that you can watch the same film with him, and he's seeing something else from the film, and you're seeing something else. I'll give another example. When we talked about playing chess now, you see that he is senior in business. I play good chess, but he has observed a little bit better on how to translate chess into real life. The second part is reading. So I'm going to ask you, sir, what are the books, very important books, that you recommend to us to read? And if the one that you recommend to us is not the most important one that touched you, that you hold closely, please will you tell us?
Okay. In answer to that question, there is a song in church I love so much, and that's the song I want each and every one of us to sing. It's a song that brings out humility in you. And what's the song? It says, I have no power of my own. Holy Spirit, I look unto you, help me, for I have no power of my own. Now, what the Holy Spirit does is that the data you don't have, the data you can't see, the information that is not readily available to you, the Holy Spirit can bring it to you. And that's what you call divine inspiration. It's one of the reasons why you see some of the music artists sing only one song and then they peel. Now, because thereafter, after that inspiration, they didn't nurture it. So they couldn't find any again to sing about. But those who are apparently evergreen, whose songs, whose music has outdated, even some of them dead. When you listen to Michael singing, you will think he's still alive. You will assume he's alive. He's one guy whose songs and music are just beyond him. Man is gone, it's gone since. But by divine inspiration and the rest of them, he's been able to create so many music and songs that today they become anthems in one way or the other. Now, first thing for me is, without data, I lean on the Holy Spirit, because truly I have no power of my own. So I get that divine inspiration from that. Now, in terms of the books, the best book in the world is the Bible. You know, interestingly, most strategists don't know this. If you take the Bible, depending on the perception, the way, the perspective you want to read it, you can read it using the spiritual view. You can use it for warfare. You can use it for strategy. You can use it in different ways or form. So depending on what you want to use, when you want to read it for the spirit, in order to lift your own spirit, is a different thing. It's a different way through which you read the Bible. But when you're reading it from a strategy perspective, you'll see that most of the warfares, competitive stress we're going through today, they're all in the Bible, they're all there. So the strategies through which you can deal with situations and circumstances and events of life, they are embedded in the Bible. Equally, the tactical plans, you will see where Christ had to move from one direction to another direction. That's tactical, the arrangement. That look, I can't be here because I will die before my time if I stay here. So I've not completed my mission. Let me move to another direction in order to complete my mission. So all those things you need to have at the back of your mind. One book I loved so much. Now, I loved it because of the fact that I learned a lot from people that have failed than people that have succeeded. Because their own experiences are experiences that will help me not to fall where they fell. And that's the reason I read some of the books that I've had the privilege of reading. One of them is Only the Paranoid Survive by Andrew Grove. Andrew Grove was the doyen. Everybody loved him in his own time. As a matter of fact, if you ask the Bill Gates of this world, the Steve Jobs of this world, all of them will tell you that the person that they read was Andrew. Andy was fantastic. Only the Paranoid Survive. Intel actually was the company he created, and we all know the story. We all know how it ended, so we know where it is today. It's a book I recommend. Winning is another book I always recommend. Jack Welch and GE It's a book that will tell you how he succeeded, how he felt the competitive advantage he needed to push for him to build a big enterprise that became a beast, so to say. Unfortunately, it became a dinosaur that could not really outrun competition when true competition came through technology. Yeah. So that's another book I really would want to recommend to you. If you want to really lead your organization, Market Forces, the forces of the market in business by Michael Porter is one of the books you have to read. The 5 forces and later 6 forces that drives how organizations can perform. It's a book that I will always perpetually recommend to people. I've read it over and over. I can quote his book in and out. Now, there's a young man, not so young, he's dead now. When your organization needs to innovate, and by the way, please note, only the innovative will survive. It's either you innovate or you die. If you don't innovate, you are going to die. So The Dilemma of Innovation by Clayton Christensen is a book you have to read. This guy wrote a fantastic piece of theory of innovation that if you read that book, you are certainly going to be transformed, and to help you continue to see how to make better products, how to make products cheaper, how to increase the quality, how to make the experience a better reality, how to become more efficient, and the rest of them. All those things, think cost, think quality, think the price, all those things. The guy did a fantastic job before he passed on. Now I'm reading one book, which is the one I mentioned earlier now, How to Lead. Yeah. It's a book that was given to me by Debola Williams. May God bless him. I don't know whether he's listening, but if he's not, I just want to thank you again using this platform, because that's one of the best books I've read by David Robertson. It's a book that will help you, because one of the things that you'll find there is that an interview was conducted, several interviews were conducted with quite a number of personalities that we all celebrate. And you'll be hearing from them, one-on-one, their experiences, what made them. Is it vision? Is it focus? Is it intellect? That's Bill's story. Is it intuition? Is it customer centricity that helped you? That's Jeff. You understand? So you are going to be reading from everybody that has made a success out of their life. Those are the books I truly would want to recommend to you.
Thank you very much, sir. It's been a very interesting time. I think for the audience, if it's been interesting for you, can you just say yes or something? Yes. Say a big thank you. Thank you. And if you're online and you've learned a lot, can you just type multiple thank yous there? So our guest caller additional can see it. It's a rare privilege to have him here. I have received a lot of insights, and 2 of us have received very good relationships today. One person in the audience that has a new business partner in caller additional, and my good self that has a new chess partner player in caller additional. Thank you very much. I'll hand over to, who's that? Talkware. Okay, please come up and yeah, great.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, caller additional. Thank you very much, Pastor Obina Kachuku, and thank you very much to everyone who has made it to this particular session. Thank you to everyone who is seated in the audience here live. Thank you to the approximately 300 or 300 plus people that joined us across our platforms online. This, once again, is one of the production of the TCN Community Group. Particularly, this is by the Business Ideas Hub, and this is one of our deep dive series. And as you probably, if you're following the deep dive series, we've had different series prior to now, and this particular one is the birth of a very, very, very new stage, or a very, very new, we're actually unlocking a new level, with this particular session. And again, I can't, say enough thank you to Mr. Kola Additional for spending time with us. This is someone that, as you can see, has a deep, deep, deep wealth of experience, deep, deep wealth of knowledge, that a lot of young people can learn from, and I'm very, very happy. Anytime I listen to him, he has the flair to share, the next generation, and I think we should take advantage of it. Let's tap into it. For those of you that are online and those of us that are home, and also if you want to have a retake of this, and you can always go to our website, TCN Business Ideas Hub. Also, if you want to learn a lot about the various community groups, in the Covenant Nation, you can follow, our various online platforms. You can follow us on Twitter, on TCN Communities, and you can also check Instagram, the community groups, right, for TCN or Covenant Nation. Thank you very much again. Thank you very much again, everyone. Thank you once again, Pastor being our host, and very, very big thank you to our guest, Mr. Kola Adeshino. Thank you very much. God bless you. And everyone, thank you for joining online. Have a very pleasant week ahead.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.